Has he got the quality settings right?
A lot of initial drama here. You can just let it run here. A lot of initial drama about getting the colors right in the pyramid ships because we didn't want them to be too threatening. This shot here with the drifter shot, this is that is a mirror of that original kind of Destiny 1 intro. You'll see another one of these mirrors here where Eris takes a little tumble. That is exactly meant to mirror the astronaut slipping. So if we pause
Oh
here
fuck
on
yeah!
oh, well,
Yep.
so I'm a few seconds behind, but
Yeah, a little delay.
here.
I got it.
Yeah, we were really thinking about how to do the stranger
It is.
because we didn't want the reveal to be totally immediate, but we also wanted it to be the kind of thing that the silhouette on a rifle would maybe tip the hand, and we entertained a bunch of different ideas here. There was one great idea from Ilya and his team where she was in an interior kind of like an ancient computer, and that looked awesome. And we ended up going with the fire because the lighting was better for concealing the character in the way that we wanted to.
I think
also,
a lot of people saw the gun, and I know I speak for my chat for sure, and kind of went nuts almost instantly as soon as the thing was on screen. Everybody caught that very, very quickly. But yeah, this is the shot that was chosen for this is really solid.
That's incredible.
So then another thing we were thinking about was to when we wanted to make things that we created for the trailer kind of available to players, and so I think we've taken some of these things and rolled them into pre-order bonuses for the game for Beyond Light this fall, because we do all this work to model these things, and we think it's awesome when players can get their hands on it.
So you're telling me, and for anybody that's misinterpreting that, a number of the things, the ships, the sparrows, that kind of stuff is going to be available as potential pre-order bonuses for Beyond Light and things following that?
Yeah, I don't have it all stored totally in my brain, but I think, I mean, for sure, her weapon, and I believe the sparrow is part of it too.
Okay.
The ship's fucking awesome. We wanted to give the drifter kind of
I love how he
a different pod. Like, some of the fun of doing stuff like this is getting to take characters who have really familiar aesthetics.
Crypt looks like Subnautica on acid. Yeah.
I remember Mike and I talking about, like, well, if Eris is going to kind of be trudging through the frozen wilderness here, like, can we give her some winter gear, like, kind of when you see your favorite characters from Star Wars, they have like different wardrobe changes. You're like, oh, the Han Solo parka's awesome. Like, it totally, what's Eris's version of the Han Solo parka? It's not like Han Solo parka. It's like an Eris parka.
That's going to be an official Destiny clothing piece in the future, I'm sure.
Right, bathroom break. I've been drinking too much.
So let's see. So here, if you so you can see as Eris is walking, there are these crystals emerging, and this is indicating that she is, this plus the final scene from Shadowkeep, the kind of post-game sequence, is really indicating that Eris, a character who has been, very anti the notion of the darkness, has maybe started to explore the edges of it, and certainly looks like she may be wielding something a little bit different than you would expect.
This even looks like almost a clue into stasis, which obviously I'll be asking questions about in a little while. But yeah, this was a kind of a similar aesthetic to what we saw in the gameplay trailer. So
Yeah, just well, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty on my side here. I think I'm still with you. Yeah. Okay. I'm just catching up to the video. My video popped.
all good.
So now, yeah, the original cut for this piece was almost 5 minutes long, and a lot of it ended up being travel. And if you just give me a little pause here, because I want to talk about this just for a second, it ended up being a lot of travel time, which Mike and Eric and I were talking about. This notion of taking our time was really important, not because of all the reveals, but because sometimes we'll have the marketing pieces, like these pieces that we put out that really bombastic, and you know the pace is really fast, and I think the dungeon trailer and the like early gameplay trailer are like punchier and quicker. And you know we had this long cut for this piece, and then we had a shorter cut that was, I don't remember the exact time. And when people watched the shorter cut, we just didn't feel like it was giving the whole piece enough time to breathe. And of course the 5-minute cut is like you know, that's like Mike, Zach, and I, like, you know, being like, like, you know, it can be long and slow like a Kubrickian movie or whatever. Like, and so we find some like reasonable here, and I think that we did get to this really nice length here.
See, he knows. That is such a fucking.
This is meant to show an uncomfortable meeting between three characters. The dismount for the stranger and into this thing that emerges from her. That object, I know we're gonna have a lot of questions about, and I'm not gonna talk too specifically about them. But the stranger is not forged in light. The stranger does not have a ghost.
So that's not a ghost.
That is not a ghost. That is something different, and you know, that's kind of where we're gonna leave that for now. But it is
of course,
sure
that's trust.
not a ghost.
Towards the very end, she has a line, and if I can go back and scrub directly to it, I'm gonna try. So about bringing them here to see the Dorito, one of the pyramid ships.
Dorito.
Are we to assume that based on that back and forth, that Drifter, Eris Morn, and the Exo Stranger have a previous interaction history?
I don't think it's assumed that there's a previous interaction history. I think when we were putting this piece together, we were thinking about who are three characters, because Destiny, you know, often happens in factors of three. Who are the three characters who would be most interested in the power of the darkness? And the Drifter, with all of his, you know, embrace the darkness, you know, all of his like gambit chicanery is a great fit. We had and then Eris, of course, is kind of also a pretty great fit. And when I was this whole idea started with the stranger, so she was there from the beginning, because I felt like anytime you want to explore something different, like the darkness, like I said on the video, like a character who's not forged in light, and a character who's like who's like, you know, kind of you know, pointed at this notion that the collision with the player would break ground, felt like really good opportunity. And I know people have been waiting a long time to see her again, and I think that's, you know, I think this is a great time to go.
I've waited for nearly 6 years to meet her again.
Statement. As one of the characters that we've I don't have time to explain why we've wanted to see that for a really long time. The thing that's not a ghost, I'm just going to ask it outright. Are we going to be able to obtain something similar?
Not this year.
Not this year. Are you implying in the future that it would be potentially possible?
I mean, it's certainly an idea that we are deeply considering, because I think that I think it's, you know, you put something in front of people, you see how they react to it, you see if they think it's cool, and
yes,
and then we'll go from there. I think there's a bunch of opportunity to add super cool shit for players in Destiny. And
I love how literal he is.
Little buddy is I think it's pretty super cool, but you know, our community is going to tell us what they think.
Which is, we want one.
Between when Beyond Light is released and now.
Hold on, I want to see if chat is going mental right now.
There's, you know, the big gap in time to be fleshed out as to what was going on, where you know, where they went, all that. No,
she's going to kind of debut in Beyond Light. She's not going to be a part of the Season of Arrival.
Give me the flying space pet.
It's your time. Let's do it.
Well, thank you very much.
Love the winged fish.
To go through the Beyond Light reveal.
Give space fish.
I think I speak for a lot of people when I say, "Holy crap, you guys are very good."
Give us the fish. Space pets.
Everything that you've done with that.
Stranger buddy.
It is time to get into the nitty gritty. And as you told me before, and I want to make sure people understand this,
We want the
none of
fish.
Questions that I'm going to ask you. were
Give us the
pre-planned
fish.
from Bungie. You didn't give me anything. I even told CJ, no, thank you. I'm good, because I wanted to do the best that I could to represent the community and the position that y'all have offered up to me. So thank you very much. And I'm going to
Space
start
vets.
out of the gate with talking about in-game live events. We saw the destruction of the Almighty. That was a technical feat for Bungie, proving you can do in-game, globally synced live story.
I need the
Very,
fish.
very cool. Many players, though, were frustrated by the duration of the event and the level of communication around when viewing said event would be essential. Will Bungie be doing more live in-game events going forward? And if so, in what ways are they going to be changed from our first experience with them?
So I think that's an awesome and totally great question. The way I've been thinking about this event, which I think you said really well, is technically awesome. And once it kind of hit its stride, I think it's fucking cool too. But we had these Lego pieces, and I think the Lego pieces with things like what's the timing of an event? What's the way that players come into the world? How do they know when is the best time to be there? I think about this in terms of concerts, not Travis Scott, but like if you actually go to a concert or a comedy show or something, doors are at 7:30. But if you're there to see a comic, they probably don't go on time. And so I think that once you learn that, you're like, okay, that's fine. I think we could have signaled all of that better, and at the bare minimum, we've got to signal it better. But I also think there's a compression that we could be doing with the time that we're asking people to chill there too.
Yeah.
A follow-up, if there are future events like that, is there an opportunity for players to maybe be a little more hands-on with the mechanics or the event playing out? Because I think a lot of people, while they did go through and do all of the bounties and public events to gas Rasputin up, it very much would have been nice to be able to, even just in this case, go to the Almighty, maybe disable a portion of the shield, anything like that where there is an interactive moment, because people often felt like they just sat there and watched Rasputin blow a thing up that they put a lot of work into before that with no payoff.
Yeah, I think that there's two things you're talking about there, and I think they're both great pieces of feedback. Like the first one is what's like the kinetic action game part of this? Like how do I get to feel like I'm more involved actively, like on the controller or on the keyboard? And I think that's awesome feedback, and we should strive to get there. The second thing I would say is it's also about how can I very clearly understand the impact of my or the community's collective actions across the game. And so, what is the other ideas that we've talked about are, how could we have made the Warmind network feel more present in the solar system at large, so that you're actually feeling, on your director and your skyboxes everywhere, that there's a thing that's building up over the course of the season, so that when you see those missile streamers traveling at physically real time, but maybe not like action game.
Have I downloaded the update, the 2.9 update, without doing anything?
I think those are both awesome notes and awesome pieces of feedback. I think the other thing was, because this is kind of our first one, it was really meant to just be kind of like, I think someone said it really well, like a cinematic you were watching with other people.
Gotcha.
Better management from us for the next time.
A lot of people in my chat are touching on crossplay, so I'm going to bring that up just super quick to get clarification so they understand. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that when the next generation of consoles, the next Xbox and PlayStation release, there will be crossplay within the same the same ecosystem. So Xbox, Xbox One and the next tier, and PS4, PS5, those will be able to interact with each other initially, but not cross-platform between the two. Correct?
String, I'm so hyped.
Yeah, the intergenerational crossplay.
Yes. And then going forward, Mark specifically said that the goal is to achieve full crossplay next year.
Yeah, that's our target. We've been signaling crossplay for a while. We had some other technical priorities this year, and we want to move on to that next. Like we want to be that single evolving world, and that means that you can play anytime, anywhere with your friends, and that Destiny 2 is the platform.
Is that, and last clarification on that, and then I won't bring up crossplay again. And that's going to be Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Stadia, all together?
Yes.
There you go, chat. Okay, I want to swing back. Talking about public events, bounties. Seasonal Worthy on the PvE side felt like that was a majority of what we were asked to do. It became, for a lot of players, relatively monotonous. I mean, doing millions of these things, and that's the only thing you can do at the time to further the story is kind of frustrating. What is the plan going forward? Will seasonal content have a stronger variety of things to do?
So we're getting the feedback as we keep going. So one of the things that I associate with player feedback around Season of the Worthy is an intentional decision that I made, which is we want to refuel aspiration in the game, and for that season, because we could only do one really big aspirational thing, we chose to do trials. And so PvE aspirational players were kind of, I think, left cold by the lack of something to care about at the top end. We've rectified that for season 11 with the dungeon that comes out today at 5, and so we're making sure that we have that. With respect to like the bounties and the amount of bounties players feel like they have to do, this is going to be a continued area of improvement for us. Like, we have stuff that we are planning for year 4 that is going to give players alternate ways to make bounty-like progress on their season pass. Like that I think can lessen the burden of making it feel like the best way to play the game is to grab the random bounties till you get the one for the lost sector and then run in and out of it over like that. That doesn't sound like a super fun way to play the game. So we've got to get better here.
You mentioned that Season of the Worthy obviously had trials, was the big aspiration. For Season of Arrivals, you have a brand new dungeon, which begs the question: is there a cadence internally about PvE versus PvP for new content? Should we expect the back and forth each season? Is there going to be, or will it be split between both sides going forward for each subsequent season?
Good question.
It's not going to be necessarily like a back and forth sawtooth. I think that we've talked about wanting to do a refresh to trials every year. And I don't know that we've said exactly. I can't keep it all straight. I don't know if we've said when we're doing the next one. I do know when we're doing the next one.
Feel free to say.
No, I think that we
just checking.
We talked about the PvE top end kind of passively in that video that we just watched, which is in year 4 we're going to have the raid that comes out with Beyond Light, and we're also going to have a raid that.
This is Luke Smith, not a DMG.
And so we'll have at least 2 raids. We'll have 2 raid activities next year, and we've got to figure out what that aspiration looks like. In there's one season basically that doesn't have something booked, and so we've got to figure out what that's going to look like.
You said a raid was coming back from the content vault. Which raid specifically?
Vault of Glass.
we're gonna pull the old Vault of Glass out and
there you go.
Back and play there.
Fantastic.
I want to know how this looks.
People are very excited about that. That seems. I think a lot of people have a certain feeling about Vault of Glass compared to everything else because it was the first. Everybody remembers the first. So change gears again real quick. Hardcore players of Destiny, of which, especially on the streamer side, I admit that, and I'm trying to not be content creator focused. I'm trying to look at everybody. There are a lot of hardcore non-content creator players as well. They enjoy highly repeatable content. I'm going to use Diablo as an example. You have an unending difficulty scale in which you can continue to get rewards all the way forever, basically. That may not necessarily fit into the Destiny structure, but GM Nightfalls were added as an even harder difficulty, but the reward structure for that was essentially a title that you only went after once. There was with the exception of a small period of bug rewards, there's no reason to do those over Masters. Going forward, is there a plan to give a longer term carrot on a stick mechanic for players in that situation that have done everything? And a suggestion, thank you to Dado for making this video, was that maybe you can have titles that level up. So you've unlocked, Conqueror, how many times, maybe you get the level 2, level 3, level 4, something that'll give people something to do so you can show that they've dedicated a whole crap load of time to something and it doesn't affect the way that the game is played.
His pop filter isn't very good.
That's a great suggestion. I'm pretty sure we're doing something like this starting soon, which is it might be starting as early as season 11. Again, some stuff moves around in the calendar, but like gilding titles is a thing that we are working on and planning to do is one thing.
Ooh.
I think another thing with an activity like the GM Nightfalls, which I think have a number of really awesome properties. We're going to be enhancing their itemization during year 4. I think that sometimes we're not totally sure how a thing is going to go. Like we do a lot of experimenting in this game, and maybe sometimes it feels like we do too much, but we are thinking about that reward story for GM Nightfalls, and believe we can enhance that pretty significantly.
Things like Tyrant Surge and other mods created some really fun and effective builds within this last season. Are we going to see mods from Season of the Worthy come back in the future, or do you plan on having additional, relatively innovative for Destiny mechanics like that that are not just seasonal? Are we gonna in Diablo you have season gear that gets retired into the main line? Do we see something like that happening with some of the mods that people absolutely love?
I think what we are, what the armor and mods team are doing right now is sneakily some really fucking awesome work on Destiny, and the challenge might be it's a little hard to find the fun here, to like put it together and to make a build. I think that we have improvements that we can make there to make build crafting a little bit more understandable, and then I think
updates up.
How do we take experiments like the cool stuff from this season of the Worthy, and
you won't let me download
those awesome things across the game. Like that's we got to do more of that. Like when
currently it says 00. I'm just rapidly clicking it and it won't allow me to download yet, but it's showing up in my updater.
We have to double down.
The player base has always had kind of a complex relationship with paid seasonal content and Destiny. The question, is it worth it? I see often asked pretty quickly after the first week or two of that man, this is brand new, that rush wears off. Should players temper their expectations when it comes to each new season? Should we be focusing more on the larger expansions as the target for highly repetitive stuff?
I think that this is a line we're still gonna have to find. Like we have basically a battle pass that for sure has $10 of value if you're like thinking about value. But I think we also ask players to play the game a lot, and so I think this year we overstruck the FOMO nerve, and that's completely.
Yep, it's downloading now.
Completely on me.
Oh.
That's my direction and discretion, and I think I
Oh, come on. I have a 500 meg connection and you decide that you can't download things over Steam
we're gonna fix
and
it.
stream.
The other thing,
Pepe hands, come on.
that you're asking though about content, I think we have to continue to evolve the way we're thinking about content. Like again,
Well, to be honest, it's going to take 2 minutes and 10 seconds for me to finish up downloading this. Actually, quicker than that.
this year we had a bunch
Evie!
of really cool stuff. Like Rescuing Saint 14 was a cool quest line that had a bunch of making a lot of.
Yeah, 1 minute 30 left. 3.3 gig. That's not too bad.
6-player, and you can lay that. We need a more diverse audience. I'm just saying, imagine the season so you have a bunch of cool quest lines that see we've got areas to.
I have locked this at 1080 though, so auto.
And we have a bunch of.
Come on.
Surveying that's happening kind of I'll say passively, in that it's technology that's surveying.
Serious?
Surveying reactions, seeing how people talk about the game, and
It's dropped it to 360.
We're always looking at that stuff, and then our community team does an awesome job of showing us what's going on in the game, because it's it's not always the place you want to send.
It is downloading at 200 meg.
Wilds to
I love Steam. So quick.
Focused on that as their job.
With projecting the roadmap all the way out to 2022, it does seem more and more like Destiny 3 is not going to be a thing.
No,
is
it's
there
not.
ever going to be a Destiny 3?
No.
I I'll say we're not planning to make one. We believe really strongly that we want to build the future of Destiny inside of the Destiny 2 game. So that this is the way.
Is there a plan to continue to integrate Destiny 1 content back into Destiny 2? You say to bring it back VOG. Cosmodrome is returning. And in addition to that, is it going to be a lot of people complain, and this isn't just to Bungie, this is to a lot of different games, that it's reuse of the same content over and over again, a copy paste of old stuff, because there may not be an opportunity to innovate. Maybe you don't have chances to build new things, or maybe it's laziness. Can you explain the thought process behind bringing that stuff in, and if we should expect the D1 content to, as a whole, return to D2?
So I wouldn't expect the D1 content to return as a whole. We're not going to remake the Destiny 1. If only it was so simple as Control-C, Control-V. We're not going to remake Destiny 1's campaign in Destiny 2. We will probably never do that. But when I think about the content that we've built to date, I do think there's a bunch of really awesome stuff that is, has been lost in the dark corners of time as we've moved on. And so I think the Destiny Content Vault's an opportunity to, selectively pull things out of the vault. Like I will speak for myself as a player and not with my role team, but the idea of a ship landing, like heading toward a strike and hearing the voiceover, Zavala as we go to that Imperial land tank outside of Rubicon would make me laugh. That would bring me some joy. And so I think we have content that can touch our players in that way. It's also a balancing act, because you want to keep making new awesome stuff too, and that's not just.
We've stepped into a wall with the Cabal.
Make new awesome stuff. It's also about our development team wants to make new awesome stuff, and so we've got to find the right line between some of our playlists feel like greatest hits, and our world feels new. So we're gonna keep exploring that.
In the future, will Bungie have maybe put forth a more concentrated effort to bring more of the lore directly into the game for a more cohesive narrative? An example is, I asked before stream if anybody knew the name of the player that was in charge of trying to crash the Almighty into the tower, into Earth, and pretty much nobody knew Amtek's name unless you read the lore. That's one of those things about the game where if you're not constantly staying up to date on all the little pieces, and that's an RPG element that should be respected, but having that stuff put in front of you is very important. Is that going to be something we should expect in the future, or are we going to continue to have to, even just for main plot points, to have to go to the Grimoire and read?
£189 string is not expensive.
Character I believe that we summoned from the history of the game, and it also depends on how our lore, which is largely looking into the history.
My most expensive collector's edition I bought was 250 quid, and that was the
narrators contained therein, sometimes reliable, sometimes
Titanfall
how that
collector's edition, which included a statue, which was this tall.
Story,
it's the one which is in my offline image.
Super valuable in some respects, and in some respects it might be a zag, because narrators maybe aren't always as reliable as we think they are.
With the Destiny Content Vault becoming a thing and retiring a portion of the current Destiny content, there's going to be people that will say that they feel like they've lost money or wasted money that they spent on content that they can no longer play. While I understand the utilization and the reasoning behind it, it obviously makes sense if you can't, update and patch your game in a timely manner. What do you say to the people that feel like they will have wasted money on content they can't access anymore?
I think it's totally that's totally an acceptable feeling. What we're trying to do, I'm not going to tell people how to feel. What we're trying to do is make sure that we can continue to grow Destiny 2 in the direction that we want to grow it, and we want to give people plenty of notification. More so maybe in the future than we are this year with what is gonna go away. And the other thing is we're setting this up in such a way that the content is going to go free in its life cycle before it goes away. And so it's not like we want to avoid situations where someone pays for something and then it just like, oh, poof, it's gone the next day. Like that would super duper suck. But some of the harsh reality here is, content that we're pulling out of the game this year, vaulting, if you will, is some content that's not, some of it's lesser played, some of it's lesser realized. I don't think a lot of people are way through these days. And even though I think the Red War is cool, it totally represents a chunk of effort from our team, a chunk of effort from our players, and certainly a period in Destiny's history. We have to excise the past to continue with the future.
With stasis being added, I'm just going to ask some direct ones. It is a brand new subclass, so there will be 4 per class, correct?
A brand new subclass, 4 per class. What do you mean?
So you have Arc,
yes.
Void,
There'll
Solar, Stasis?
Yes. And a little, I'll break into jail here a little bit. These subclasses will be different than how the current subclasses are selected. They will not be locked diamonds. They are going to be a brand new model that allows for much more player choice and flexibility than the current Arc, Solar, and Void subclasses have. And this was something that was really important to me and really important to the team. So it's going to be a different way to customize your Guardian than
Guys,
today.
Those
do you know what that means?
Are those going to be integrated back into the current 3 subclasses?
That thing I said about experiments, like we want to see how this goes. Like I think our desire is to get to a place where players have much more flexibility with their subclasses than what they have today. But also that means that if we should someday decide to break up the subclasses in Destiny, in Destiny 2, we'll probably make some stuff will probably go away as well. So we're taking that really seriously and thinking a lot about it. But
this could mean
stasis in the new paradigm
that we are getting D1 style super configuration
between subclasses or
and class configuration.
Now that you're going to have 4 with with options underneath that.
Yeah, I think homogenization is, just for me, kind of an ongoing concern. But it's really hard to make something that competes with, turn into a tiny god and run around and destroy everything, which is what a bunch of our modal supers are. And so we've got to figure out what's the right balance for those things. I think that I'll kind of just talk out of church here for a second. I think that the relationship between the supers in Destiny 1 was maybe a little bit more interesting than what we have today. Or today, the classes do kind of have similar versions of the same supers, and I think there's an opportunity for us to pull them apart a little bit more than they are today. But that's the thing we, again, take really seriously, because people might identify as, like, I am only a Spectral Blades hunter, aka a douchebag. And I don't want to just strip people of that either. Take that. So
rude. A number of different questions have been brought up around sunsetting and the plans, how that's going to be implemented. So I'll just hit you with a couple of those. Will there be a completely new set of weapons in the loot pool after each sunset, or will we be collecting our Better Devils version 3?
I have to look. It's gonna be a mix. We're gonna keep updating that world pool. I think we had a blog post about that with a mix of new. We're also, the team's actively developing a bunch of new traits or perks, and so
new traits, new perks.
I hope that we do. I think we can do better than it's the same Better Devils you had with the exact same roles. Like, go and get it. Like, that seems that seems below our potential. I think we can do better.
Is sunsetting being implemented as a way to force players to shake up the meta within both PvE and PvP?
It's not being implemented to force players to do it. It has a knock-on effect of, as max power level goes up, certain weapons, will fall by the wayside, and at least in high-level competitive activity. And I think that has a number of good properties, even though I also know that some dissonance for our players, where wielding a gun in Destiny is different than wielding a staff or something in an MMO, because the staff is basically just glorified stats. And our weapons team, curates each legendary, very bespokely. So it's easy to find a gun. I hope it's easy to find a gun that you fall in love with and that you love to for. And the idea of that going away, or that not being viable in 12% of activities, I guess, is hard for people to reconcile.
Is SRL coming back?
Nothing to talk about right now, but I do that people miss it. I think that it's a good question. Keep asking.
Yes.
Yes or no, and timing, especially with crossplay in the future for dedicated servers for PvP or a higher tick rate.
That we should follow up with a technologist. I am definitely not the person to about tick rates. My English degree doesn't do a whole lot of good there. Dedicated servers, though, like the Destiny infrastructure is built on a PvP or a peer-to-peer platform, and I don't know that we'll migrate the game to dedicated servers ever necessarily at this point.
You can say no. It's okay. Not that you have. I'm just saying.
I said a version of no. It's a soft no.
We see you, don't worry. Any plans for more Whisper or Outbreak type missions in the future?
Secret missions wouldn't be secret if we talked about them.
Oh.
Touche. I think everybody can be okay with that and kind of read into it a little bit. I'm sure they're smart. Any plans for? I'm going to ask a couple easy ones because I've been hitting you with some.
I'd love for him to have turned around then and went, yeah, and you missed one in the last season. Everyone would have lost their fucking shit.
Keep bringing up beards to me.
I mean, listen, as a furry, furry-faced dude myself, something like that would be cool, although a little weird to put on my female characters. But we're in the process of redoing redoing our face pipeline all together right now, and maybe someday down the road.
Any plans for like an auto dismantle on blue drops? No, I mean nobody's really keeping those except for maybe one or two one-offs. A chance to just have those get filtered right into the butter churner as soon as we pick them up?
I think the real question, although, again, I'll break into jail here. The real question is, hey, when am I going to start using greens and blues again? I think that's an interesting question because right now we have a bunch of the colors that in fact aren't used. And so, that's my inversion of that question. Don't worry, that the thing I'm talking about is not happening this fall. But that's a real design question we ask, which is, why do we have these other colors if we're not going to use them?
What's the reason behind some of the blanket weapon nerfs? We have outliers, like high impact fusions, 150 RPM hand cannons, 140 snipers. The entire weapon class gets punished because of one or two individuals. Is there reasoning that that's the way that that's done?
I think historically, I'll look at hand cannons because I think that they're a weapon people care a lot about. The hand cannons would all get touched. They would all get touched because of technology. And so what the team's done this year is they have broken out the hand cannon tuning by RPM, so you can touch a 150 instead of a 180, et cetera, et cetera. And so we're trying to make that better.
Regarding PvP specifically, what's the team's design philosophy behind what their current long-term PvP pursuit is, and what should we expect for PvP specifically in, I would say, both Season of the Arrivals and the next expansion?
That feels like a big question.
It is a very big question.
For us being out of time, that's a big one. We will get something in front of players this.
Perfect.
Committed.
How much longer do I have you for?
I really gotta pee. I got a rat, man.
All good. That's fine. Like I said before, there's a whole ton of questions here that I had. I tried to hit as many as I could. But thank you very much for your time, Luke. Sincerely, it does mean a lot. I mean, you could have just not done this, which, I mean, I don't think anybody would have been happy with that. But hopefully, people are accepting of the response that you gave. Again, go to the bathroom. Luke, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Thanks for having me, Luke. I really appreciate it.
Of course. See you, bud.
Yeah.
So there you go, chap. Luke Smith, game director of Destiny 2. I think I probably ran him further past the time that I originally had for him, so hopefully that was good. I tried to ask as many questions from this massive list that you guys brought forward. Hopefully, if any other channels are restreaming this, I hope I did what I could to answer your questions, field your hopes, expectations for the future. There's a lot that came out of that. A lot of people in chat were talking about cheating, and I I'm going to be very specific. I completely ignored that question because there's no good answer from Luke. They've talked about it a bunch of times. They're doing everything that they can, just like every game, every developer is trying to do. They're doing what they can, and there's no answer that he could have given you, chat, that would have been both truthful and satisfying. So, again, thank you to anybody else that restreamed this. I appreciate it. Make sure if you're watching a content creator that is watching this channel, you use your Twitch Prime subs in those channels. Support those people because they took time out of their stream to entertain you, to watch me and Luke have a conversation. Very important to do that. Support your the communities that are affected directly by what's going on, and whether it's on you know, whatever platform you're on as well. I appreciate it. So, hey.
GG Lupo. Oh, no longer hosting. Damn it! Just literally as I hit it. Fuck's sake. Bless. Oh, that was a nice shout out. When am I going to use greens and blue again? Never. Power grinding or nothing. Yeah, but like the way that they're hinting at it, they might be finding a mechanic and where they can actually be able to reintroduce blues and greens back into the fold with different reasons. Tiles has given me a heads up that this is going to be fucking ridiculous. So yeah, like big props to Lupo, because clearly he's aware that that is going to be something that is going to be done. And we're all going to sit here and we're all going to kind of essentially watch his stream through our own streams and be able to comment on that stuff. My takeaway from all of that is it feels like, if I was to summarize it, it feels like they obviously took a gamble going independent. No spoilers for you? Alright, String, catch you later. But it feels like they put their money down on Shadowkeep and all of the season content. And from there, they were holding their breath, hoping that it was actually a correct decision for them to go independent. They've learnt a lot from it this year, and they have turned it into, because obviously the one thing that the community want is, we just want transparency. We don't want FOMO. We want the ability to be able to take everything and run with it, and be able to not have this weird like, oh, okay, I need to play this before the end of the season or get this before the end of the season. Bungie needs to take back Halo. It's not their property at all. You ready to go, Vada? So I feel like they've kind of they've seen now what the future of the game looks like, and they've had this vision, but then at the same time they're like, they can't double down too much because they can't dream bigger than they can achieve. So they can make these, they don't want to bite off way more than they can chew. So with that, I think that the seasonal model and the fact it's been a bit like, but then obviously when it relaunched, it landed with such a bang where all of a sudden it was like boom and everything blew up again. That's when everyone went like, oh shit. And I think that they may have had like, okay, it paid off, let's fucking double down. Chances are the whole of this season was already programmed and ready to ship, probably around about the end of the Undying, I reckon. NMS? NMS. I don't know what NMS is. But I think now, No Man's Sky. Oh yeah, right, cool, gotcha. Yeah, they didn't want to do that. But at the same time, they didn't want to. I can tell that they probably had like, this is what we want to do, but if we financially can't do it, this is what we're gonna do here. And obviously, as a business, when you do something fucking ballsy as fuck by like, you know, going independent, they're probably gonna go, right, let's hit this, let's go this way for this year. If everything pans out well, at the end of this year, then we can go back up. Then we can shit. And from the sounds of it, the fact that they've just straight out the gate been like, right, this is what's happening for the end of this year. Oh, and by the way, this is what's happening for the year after that. Oh, and by the way, here's what's happened the year after that. We've got until 2022 already mapped out for us. What the actual fuck? That I never expected that. The way that they can reinvigorate the ability for us to go back through the vault, as they're calling it, is a very clever move. Because if we really think about it, there's a lot of nostalgia in D1, but there's a lot of filler at the same time. So for them to be able to go, cool, we've got a few strikes, like the highlight reel, as it were, of D1, chef's kiss, fucking brilliant idea. Like the fact that they're like, cool, and we're bringing back the old raids. Oh my god, yes. That's ballsy. This is what we're doing. Yeah, I know. I fucking tip of the cap to fucking Bungie for that. Like, fair play. They have fucking put their balls right out on the table and just been like, this is what we're doing. I heard Vogue and chat exploded. Yeah, when they kind of went through like all the years again, I was like, what are they doing? Like, and we all said in here, we were just like, that looks higher quality. That looks higher quality than like what it does on the consoles. Because I went back to it, and like obviously when we were waiting for the server downtime and stuff like that, and it wasn't pretty. Let's go back. Like after running D2, most updated version of it, running on all the nicest settings on Ultra on PC, to go back to what is essentially like an early Xbox One version of D1, it was like, oh god. Even running around the tower was like, Jesus Christ. The gunplay felt really weird and janky, and it was just like, fuck. So like them just basically reskinning everything and turning it back in wouldn't have been a good experience for anyone. And them actually being able to almost like remaster the highlights, I think is a fucking huge decision. A really big thing. And also when it comes to things like this, it means that they can obviously and like how they're saying, like bringing in champions and stuff like that, like for all these different things, it's just like, oh, you've got this so good. Like, you literally hit the nail on the head. Not even something which I would consider. I always thought that because when they said, like, we're not going to remaster D1, we're not going to do it. Like, after they said about, like, the vault system, I think that's sick. If we get a new chapter for every single season, that'll be fucking cool. That rotates. It'll bang or it'll flop, and Bungie banged. Yeah, Bungie fucking banged. I love the fact that the SRL got brought up, and then his answer was no comment. I'm just like, let's fucking go! Because it was such a good, fun experience doing SRL. They don't necessarily have to do it as a permanent thing, but instead of, say, for example, like Guardian games, which was just go and do the same shit again, go and grind bounties, go and do this and stuff like that. If it was like, cool, you need to do SRL, I'll be like, fucking A. Yes. I know, but the thing is, like, String, if you really think about it, there's a few maps which you're like, this looks like a race course. Like, which one is it? The Infinite Forest Strike, where you take down, what's his face? The Cabal on through the infinite forest, and you go drive on your Sparrow all the way down, and then there's like 3 different like ways that you can do it. It's like, that's a fucking SRL map. That is an SRL map. If they did SRL, and one of the things is you're driving through the infinite forest, fucking, I'm like, take my money. I will just have that as a game in itself. Yeah, you can make anything a racetrack, but like that one was clearly specifically designed to be able to travel down there with Sparrows. And like the way that I always take is the top right, because you have to like dodge lasers by using the side bumpers to be able to move and to be able to get down there successfully. And there's the high risk in that side of it as well, because it means that like if you catch too many of those lasers on those Sparrow, it blows up, which is like, boom, they've got it. They fucking captured lightning in a bottle just in that one bit. And if they do a racetrack through the infinite forest, oh yeah, it looks like Dark Drinker's coming back. There's a Void one, or like whatever it's called. Yeah, I've just got a load of messages from my friends actually on like Facebook Messenger, just everyone going, "What?" So, because they all know that I'm a Destiny player. Right, okay. String, if you don't want spoilers, get the fuck out. I'm about to launch it. Right, String, this is your fault if you're here for this and I spoil anything. So, as soon as you select the character. Okay. Fuck me. Like, my Discord and everything is just exploding. Like, notifications are just, like, fucking going off everywhere now. And, like, Messenger and all my different Discord servers I'm in. The fuck? Right, okay. So I'm starting this in 3, 2, 1. This is where I can't get in. They're waiting for server space. Grab a water bottle. Oh yeah. I haven't been in since I was on my Titan going through the last wish. I was like, why the fuck do I look like that? Okay. Oops. Well, okay. If there's a cutscene with me in it, this is going to be interesting.
Wanted a return to war on the moon. They built a lunar fortress to back their assault. A grand stage to announce their revival. You climbed that scarlet citadel, and the Hive met you head-on. You buried them. But we found more than Hive on the moon. The dark has reached out. We have no choice but to reach back.
Another cutscene. I'm watching my frame counter. Raz. Raz. Raz? Hey, bud. Raz? Where'd Raz go?
The day we've been dreading has finally arrived. The darkness is here. We need boots on the ground on Io. Recon. There's a pyramid. It's already disabled Rasputin. I'd lean on Eris's expertise, but we haven't been able to reach her. We both know what that means. Eris is our best chance at understanding what we're up against. I need her at the tower. She's too valuable an asset to... Find her, Guardian. Bring her home.
My prediction of Io being actually one of the first planets to get interrupted is pretty good.
Erisborn, a guardian without a ghost. I wonder how that must feel.